The immediate future for the people of Congo depends on the results of the pending national dialogue. Required by the Lusaka Accord, this is to be the second national conference to address the fate of the Congolese. Those attending the conference, as well as those who seek to influence it from outside, fall into two groups. Those who remember very clearly what happened at the last national conference, and those who hope no one remembers. Among this latter group are those who do not wish for any meaningful change to the system, a system of extraction of natural resources from this very wealthy land. If all goes to their liking, the national conference will be delayed. Its goals will lose focus. Regional and ethnic interests will be elevated as the ruling junta has time to secure its position and curry the appearance of a functioning government. Most importantly, plausible arguments for a unity government will appear in the press of the Western democracies. If the interests of the kleptocracy are dominant, once again, the overwhelming popular choice of the Congolese will be dismissed as irrelevant, ineffectual, and out of date. Well-financed experts will urge this is the time for a new, dynamic, transitional government, the time to look forward to a new generation of leadership. Those who have borne the burden of decades-long struggle against corruption and dictatorship will be described as obstinate and part of the problem. A flurry of new, hitherto little-known political parties and spokesmen with mysterious funding will appear on the scene. A sudden enthusiasm for broad-based popular government will somehow expand to the inclusion of armed foreign-sponsored elements in a coalition government. If all goes smoothly, overt pressure from the traditional foreign sponsors of dictatorship may never be apparent. This would be smoother than the last time representative government was derailed. In 1990, Mobutu's increasingly erratic rule had caused his position to deteriorate to the point where, in order to appease his foreign donors, he was forced to allow some activity by the democratic forces. In a speech of April 24th, he called for a national conference. His creation quickly showed signs of independence, so he moved to bring it to an end. This action provided a focal point for the opposition. The dictator responded with force. In one particularly notorious incident, a religiously oriented, non-violent protest was attacked, resulting in the massacre of 63 committed Christians. The resulting international outcry forced a resumption of the conference. Mobutu spared no effort to block its work, but eventually the conference declared itself a sovereign entity and began to move towards dissolving the dictatorship. At this point, the government of the United States intervened. Their reliable Cold War ally could not be summarily impeached. Besides, by this time, the entire international community was so embarrassingly implicated in the spectacular corruption in Zaire that there was little stomach for what a wholesale dismemberment of the status quo might reveal. The Bush administration dispatched the Undersecretary of State for Africa to insist that Mobutu must be retained in some way in the new government. The result of this pressure was to extend Mobutu's term in office for 2 years as a supposedly ceremonial head of state. Almost immediately, the dictator began a campaign of violence, extending to the murder of family members of the representatives of the now sovereign National Conference. Despite this pressure, the conference elected Etienne Tshisekedi prime minister by over 70% of the delegates. This was unacceptable to the United States. A campaign for his removal was begun. The situation was declared an impasse and the issue given to a commission. A commission of veteran officials of prior Mobutu governments. This less than impartial group suggested that the voting representation of the Sovereign National Conference be diluted by the addition of the dictator's